So welcome to Strange Paths, a podcast where we read choose your own adventure style stories.
Oh my god.
Did I say it weird?
Yeah.
Take-
Leave it.
No.
You're like, we're rude.
Leave it.
Please leave it.
So welcome to Strange Paths, a podcast where we
See?
Now you
Leave
made
it.
it weird.
You made it weird.
Anyway, so welcome to Strange Paths, a podcast where we read choose your own adventure style stories. We are your hosts. I'm Paul.
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Megan.
Hey, I'm
And,
Steven.
special guest.
Special guest, Steven. You might remember him from the Christmas Story and Bozo's Glow Globes.
Oh yes.
Ooh, of that fame.
Yes.
Yes. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
You can't see
I'm
him,
so
but he's
excited.
very handsome, and everyone's chomping at the bit. Get at him.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. That's true. Paul's pretty sweaty over here.
Yeah.
His feet red.
Sweatier than usual, at least.
He's trembling. He's got the vapors
his veins
as well.
can't take much more.
No. I had to take some blood pressure medicine before we started.
He was like, oh, Steven's gonna be there. Shit. Get the pills.
Did you just find someone else's pills and guess how much to take, or are you prescribed blood pressure medication?
I got
He's-
the prescription after the Bozos episode.
Yeah. Well, he's got he's got a condition where he's just super attracted to everything. So we need to have it handy.
Jeez.
Yeah, we need to have it handy like Benadryl in case he gets an attack. You know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In any case, it's also a special episode because it's our anniversary.
It's our anniversary.
We're still in love.
Happy anniversary.
A whole year. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So as presents, we got each other stories.
Yeah, that's the best presents of all.
I found mine in the sewer.
Nice.
I've made mine.
I paid someone else to write mine.
I didn't write one.
Oh, Steven. God damn it. What are we supposed to do?
I guess we'll just have to read our 3 trash stories.
Yeah. Who was going to write the good one that would get us a bunch of listeners and fame? But he
Yeah, our listeners aren't used to that. So.
Yeah.
It would be too much of a shock.
So now I have to decide who's going first.
Yes, so we've decided to do a bracketed rock, paper, scissors situation.
All right.
So who's in the first bracket?
You and I can be in the first bracket.
Oh, okay.
All right. So Megan?
No, she's... Oh, okay.
Huh? Oh,
Customary...
okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Paper.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Scissors!
Oh.
I win. Okay, Megan.
All right.
Wait, what are we playing for?
You're playing to read your story.
First?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Scissors.
Paper! Megan.
All right, Megan's going first.
And then me, and then you.
Yep.
Okay. Right.
All right.
Well, I guess it's me then. Steven, you're not allowed to look at it. He's always trying to sneak peeks, get ahead.
Should I be blindfolded?
Yes.
Probably.
Here's some panties. All right. Well, I didn't really title my story. We can just call it Anniversary
Again.
Story. I don't know. All right. Get ready for a long page here.
Okay.
Nice.
Here we go.
Wait,
good.
Megan, did you write yours by hand?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why?
Oh, and
No.
calligraphy too.
No,
Okay.
I printed it out because if I try to put it up on the screen, Steven tries to sneak peeks and
Oh,
I
okay.
can't trust
No, that's
him.
fine. I was
So
just
I have
curious.
to
He
And
is
I like to-
dastardly.
make wrestling sounds for the ASMR like this out there.
Yeah.
So-
Everybody likes that.
I'm a peeper.
no, it's not. He's All right, let's go. Okay, you stare out the window at the endless fields of corn below and sigh. You're trapped here all summer without much to do except take care of your uncle's couple of chickens and cows. You'd agreed to keep an eye on the farm for him while he and your cousins have a blast touring around Europe. You thought it would be a good opportunity to work on some robots you've been building for your doctoral program. You're a robot person.
Nice.
But now, staring at the endless nothing outside and considering the lack of interest or internet or television, you wonder if you've made a mistake. You glance at the note your uncle left you. Hi, Jim. Welcome to our humble home. All you need to do is make sure the irrigation system is doing its thing, Feed and water the chickens and cows, and milk 'em twice a day. Only the cows, though, you sicko. Have all the fresh eggs you can stand. Oh, also check the scarecrows to make sure they're still up on their stands and stuffed. Sometimes they get damaged. Thank you, and I'll see you at the end of August. Maybe it won't be as bad as I think, you say hopefully, and set about your chores. Everything took about an hour, and you were left with 23 hours to do whatever you wanted. First few days went by, you established a routine, and the boredom really began to settle in. The cows and chickens weren't a hassle in the least, but you do find that you have to restuff and fix the scarecrows an irritating amount. You wonder how they lose stuffing and come apart so easily, and how their clothes get so many holes. Maybe they actually attract birds and wild animals. You think in an irritated tone. A crow hovering above caws as if to affirm your suspicions. After chores, you work on your robots for 10 hours or so before your eyes begin to get too tired. Then you have a maddening amount of time left, which you just find yourself zoning out or wandering around the small house aimlessly. This was unacceptable and a waste of precious time, so you decide to take up a hobby at night. You search your uncle's books for ideas and happen upon one about stargazing and a pair of binoculars. Why the hell not? You think to yourself and begin reading. You find it to be a bit boring and fall asleep at the table. Around 2 a.m., you're awakened by what seems like voices outside. You stiffen and listen. Nothing. The nearest neighbor is 2 miles down the road. Were you just hearing things? You made sure the door is locked and look carefully out of the windows. You don't see anyone, so you grab a butcher knife and head to bed, locking your room just in case. Wait, okay. The next day you almost forgot about the voices, and when you went to check on the scarecrows, you gasped. One of them had been completely pulled off the stand and lay on the ground facing downward. Had someone been here last night? Who would just mess with the scarecrows and leave? It might be some kind of high school dare situation. There's nothing much out here for youth to do. You wouldn't be surprised. It takes a couple of hours to restuff the scarecrow and get it back up. That night you return to your stargazing, to find yourself scanning the fields for teenagers more than the night sky. You found an old baseball bat in one of the rundown sheds on the property, prepared to run out and stop any trespassers, so you didn't have to spend so much time repairing scarecrows again. Sorry, I'm about to cry.
It is very moving.
Yeah, I mean, like, the scarecrow had a family.
Yeah.
Yes. After an hour of stargazing, you think about heading up to bed, but you see movement in one of the fields. A silhouette is moving around near the scarecrows. You bolt out the door towards the figure, but nothing's there except a scarecrow on the ground. Damn, they must have gotten away. The next night, the figure returns, near the scarecrows again. You notice it moving towards one of the sheds. You're not getting away this time, you say between grit teeth, and fly towards the shed. You throw open the door and shine a flashlight inside, but all you find is a pile of a few scarecrows on the ground. No one's in sight. There's another little shed 20 feet away, and you run over to look inside of that one. When you open the door, a bunch of crows fly out, but no one else is there. In the morning...
Uh-oh. Did you write the story? Stephen says no.
Where'd I go? In the morning before fixing up the scarecrows again, you scour the ground for footprints or clues, but find nothing. The only markings near the scarecrow patch are broom-like streaks in the dirt. Trespasser must be removing the tracks. A few more nights go by, and you watch activity with your binoculars. Every time you run to catch whatever it is in action, you only find scarecrows laying on the ground, and a bunch of crows in the other shed. If you could maybe be a scarecrow, you could be out there and really see what was going on. You sigh to yourself. There's no way anyone would think I was a scarecrow. I'm too handsome. But maybe I could build one. To build a scarecrow robot for spying purposes, turn to page 2. To give up on the whole thing entirely, you're afraid this is going to drive you insane. Turn to page 3.
Let's build a scarecrow robot.
You know, I was thinking, like, bucket.
No, when you should build one.
You haven't tried anything really yet. It's like
You don't just immediately give up during a Choose Your Own Adventure story. Okay.
Oh, this is too long.
I mean, I don't really wanna.
All right. Of course, you're going to build a robot about it. You already have a rudimentary skeleton that can walk. So you work on placing a camera in one of the eyes and making it look convincingly like a scarecrow. Very hard to do.
Yeah, it's almost impossible.
After a few test runs, you decide to put him up on one of the stands. You had to reinforce the stand because of the increased weight, but it worked out. You wait for nightfall and are glued to your computer watching the footage from the scarecrow cam. After a few hours, you begin to notice movement to the right. The scarecrow arm is moving around. Someone's taking him down. You shift the camera in that direction, and you don't see anyone moving the scarecrow at all. He's moving all by himself.
Woo!
He turns around
We're too
towards
good.
He turns around towards the other scarecrows and says, "Come on, boys, let's go." The other scarecrows slowly get down from their stance and head for the shed you've been finding them in. What should you do? To follow the scarecrows, turn to page 4. That's too scary! You don't want to know anymore! Bail! Turn to page 5.
I'm scared.
I'm scared
Follow
too.
those scarecrows.
Steven's scared too. We're too scared.
Ah,
Fuck you.
They're too scared. Okay, page 5. It's too scary. You hide under your bed for the rest of the night, and each night until the end of summer.
Yes.
You let the scarecrows deteriorate, and when your uncle comes back, he tells you how disappointed he is in you at the end.
nice.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Well, that's
That
it.
sounds like the canon ending.
Yeah. That sounds like the real life ending.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we'll follow him or whatever.
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah, but be careful.
Okay, you put the robot into action and carefully get down from the stand. You attempt to walk the same pace that you notice the other scarecrows moving. Just act natural, you say to yourself before going to the shed. When you push open the door, you're so stunned you almost lose control and fall. The inside of the shed has somehow been transformed into a bar reminiscent of the Wild West. Scarecrows sit on bales of hay, drinking and talking. You decide to get closer and figure out what's going on. You sit next to one of the scarecrows, and a bartender rasps, "Welcome, what will it be?" You're too stunned to answer and scramble to remember how to use the microphone. But the bartender says, "Just kidding. Of course you'll be having some of this beautiful corn whiskey."
Corn.
He pours one for you and for himself, and cheers you by saying, "Just all the crows." You raise the shot.
Oh, yeah.
You raise the shot but put it back when he turns away. You're not sure how wet you can get before malfunctioning. You listen to the scarecrows to the left. And they think they're so cool with their little hook tools and their shiny ass eyes. Another comments, "Yeah, like, all feathery and shit, like, oh, look who's fucking soft." I know, it's like, "Oh, you can fly? Cool, why don't you just fly into the garbage?"
Oh, damn.
A roar of laughs erupts around you, and all of them start slapping the speaker on the back and saying, "Good one, Scary. Nice." They continue talking. I say we just rush over there and start stabbing them with stuff. No. We
Damn.
just...
Mob mentality.
Yeah. Escalated quickly.
Yeah.
Getting brutal.
No, we do this every night. We need a better plan. They have those sharp faces and they'll peck our buttons clean off. Cries of, "I like my buttons," and "Stab 'em" ring out. The scarecrows get more drunk and irrational throughout the night. When the sun comes up, they return one by one to their stands, as do you. With this new information, should you build a robot crow quick fast and see what the other side is like? Turn to page 6, or go back as the scarecrow and try to convince them to stop drinking and leave the crows alone. Turn to page 7.
Build a crow.
Yeah, we got to build a
Robot crow.
crowbot.
Crowbot.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. With the speed of a robotics genius, you build the robot crow and can hardly wait for the night to fall. When it does, you speed right over to the opposing shed and peck open the door. The inside is another bar somehow, this time goth-themed with black velvet everything.
Oh, that's weird.
It's a bit on the nose, but all right.
On the beak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, Paul. Come on.
You hobble over to a pile of stylish pebbles and perch upon it. Welcome to the crowbar, stranger. What'll it be? Squawked the bartender crow. Just kidding. Of course you'll be having the corn whiskey and fermented owl blood. A toast.
Wow.
May the scarecrows fall apart in an unstylish, sissy way, and may we build our nest out of their remains and shit mercilessly in them. Hear, hear, squawked the crows. You decide to listen more closely to their conversation. Check this cool little hook I made out of a shiny thing, Crowbert. Oh, wow. That's a simple tool, all right. I bet that would be good for ripping out a button eye or two. You got that right, Blackie. Hey, I bet you could take your little stick you found with the knob at the end and, prod at him real good. Then they'd be like, duh, I'm made of straw. I don't have parents. The crows laugh in unison, and they attempt to make plans for their attack until the next morning. Well, time to go forage for scraps and nestlings. See you tomorrow night. The crows depart the bar, and you're left with a choice. Tomorrow night, should you go out as both robots at once, turn to page 8, or forget this whole thing. This is none of your business. Turn to page 5.
I mean, it is kind of none of your business. Like, who are we to stop them from going out and blowing off steam with their friends, you know? They're just talking.
There was a lot of talk of stabbing each other in there, too. I don't know if that's just talking.
Yeah, people talk about, I say I want to murder stuff that bothers me, but I'm not actually going to do it.
Yeah, but you're not a mob of people.
Yeah, but they're not going to do anything.
I say we send both robots.
Yeah, you send both robots because if they do something, then you've witnessed it and you can testify to the crow court.
Whatever.
You decide to do a split screen and be both robots at once. This will be challenging for you, but you're confident in your ability. You go to separate bars and sit quietly, listening to the scarecrows call the crows dark little stiff-footed weirdos, and the crows call the scarecrows raggedy stitchy bitches. Both parties are much angrier than before, and you notice everyone is getting incredibly bloodthirsty. At the same time, the leader of both crows and scarecrows stands up and in unison makes the call to arms. It's murder time, say the crows. Let's beat the stuffing out of them, say the scarecrows. Everyone bursts out of their bars and runs outside. The crows and scarecrows stare at each other before the battle begins. This is your moment.
Wait.
Huh?
I just wanted to talk about that hilarious little quip with the crows. It's murder, but a group of crows is called murder.
Mm-hmm.
And then the scarecrows have stuffing. I liked it. Tip of the hats.
Tip received.
Yeah.
The crows and scarecrows stare at each other before the battle begins. This is your moment. Should you fight or try to stop it? If you try to stop it, turn to page 9. To fight, turn to page 10.
I want to try to stop it because then maybe they could be friends and really cute together, and then the crows can use their little hooks and stuff to stitch up the scarecrows, and then the scarecrows can let them nest in their bodies and they can be friends forever. Mm. That's what I think.
I don't know. What do you think, Steven?
I don't see that happening ever.
Yeah,
I mean,
I kind of have to agree with Steven.
It's like cats and dogs. It's like oil and water. It's just not gonna...
Right. Crows and scarecrows.
Okay, but here's the thing. Megan and I think alike. We all want the animals and shit to be friends forever.
So you're trying to game it.
No, I'm just saying, if I'm thinking it, maybe Megan thought it.
How long do you have left on your uncle's farm? Is this gonna...
You're in the middle of summer.
Okay. So yeah, let's try to help him.
Did you swap?
I swapped. You got time. You were already bored before, so if you just
try to make it better.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't be all smug.
I'm smug. I'm smug as fuck.
You decide to try and make peace. Wait, you shout as the scarecrow. Wait, we mustn't fight. That's right, you say as the crow. Why's that then? Says the crowd. Because we're in love, you make both robots say in unison. Then you make them go over and start making out with each other, hardcore, with lots of sound effects. After 10 minutes of this, both sides seem to get grossed out and go back to their respective bars. No fight ensued. You're not sure that they made them like each other, but you did prevent a battle from happening. The rest of the summer is relatively boring, and you're okay with that. The end.
Hey,
Oh, what?
look at that.
I appreciate that we built and programmed the ability for both robots to make out.
Yeah. Convincingly.
Yeah, convincingly.
Yeah, well, you're a genius. I think about
Right.
everything.
That's true.
Right.
All right, so I guess we should
See-
see what happens.
I
If
thought
we fight.
letting them fight they would destroy each other, and then the rest of the summer would be boring, and you wouldn't be okay with that. So I picked the wrong one.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get to any shenanigans. So let's see what happens if
Yeah,
they
all we
fight.
did was make out with ourselves.
Yeah. And then we do that enough, you know?
All right, so let's join the fray.
All right, screw it. You're gonna fight. The battle begins, and straw and feathers are flying everywhere. There's crow blood on the scarecrow's scrap clothing. Crows are choking on bits of straw. Button eyes are rolling into the corn. And it's impossible to tell who's winning. Both your robots are taken down, and in the morning you go out to see the carnage. There's not a scarecrow left intact, and dozens of crow bodies are strewn amongst the clothes and straw.
Aw.
Well, I guess we all lost. You sigh and begin cleaning up the mess.
Nice.
Okay, so is the only choice left to just not do anything at the very beginning?
I think there was try to convince the scarecrows before instead of being
right.
a crow robot.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you want to
So-
try to do that?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so going back as the scarecrow robot, the next night you return to the scarecrow's bar and wait for them to get kind of drunk. Then when there's a lull in conversation, you say, "Hey now, brothers, why don't we abandon this whole idea and just stay up on our stands all night? Let the crows be crows and us scarebros just be what we're supposed to be, huh?" There's a moment of thick silence before they all leap upon you and start tearing off your clothes and hay with their toothless mouths. They paw at your hay and throw it all around, all while making guttural screams and putting your stuffing into their own bodies.
Oh, no.
Jeez.
In 10 seconds, you're nothing but a pile of scraps on the floor. They return to their stands, and you mind your own goddamn business. That's the end. That's all I got.
All right.
Okay, wait. I just remembered. Isn't there a choice where you just mind your own goddamn business?
I think so,
At the
but
very
There was
beginning.
one at the very beginning.
But no, there was another one, wasn't there?
yeah, there were, but I think it's just... You want me to read it? It's very short.
Yeah,
Okay.
just read it.
You decide to give up on the whole thing. You should be concentrating on doing the work for your doctoral program anyway. For the rest of the summer, when night falls, you draw the curtains and refuse to look outside. You get a lot done, but for the rest of your life, you'll always wonder who the scarecrow thief is.
All right, so I guess the canon ending is when we made them not fight each other.
Yeah, they
because
made out.
everybody's
Kissing.
We'll have to live with that memory forever,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but just depraved.
Happy anniversary!
Yeah, that was a great story.
I loved it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited that actually happened.
Yeah, came to fruition.
Because I really needed that story to be born. Ever since you told us about it, it's just been on my brain.
Dreamt of it
Yeah.
months.
So
All right.
now we're going to do Steph's story.
It's my turn.
Does it have a title?
Yes.
Okay.
It's titled Lil Scrompo.
The Scarecrow.
No, it's just a regular one.
Crow?
Okay, so this story was born because I had no idea what to write, and so I started writing the stupidest poem that I could. So here it is. Little Scrumpo ate a bug. Little Scrumpo's hovel dug. Into Hog's nest, they so snug. Drank in hog drink. Glug chug chug.
Wow.
So that's the poem I wrote. That's what the story's based on.
Is the whole story a poem?
No, that's the only poem. Okay, here we go. Now that that's out of the way, here's the story. There was once a young person named Lil Scrumpo. Lil Scrumpo was I said it wrong. Lil Scrumpo was a Mowgli type person, running in the forest, chomping down bugs, squashing in the mud for fun. You know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta know, Lil Scrumpo didn't do all this shit alone. For Hog was the little forest fiend's bosom companion. Yes, Hog, that hulking, shit-covered, matted, snobby, grumpy, wheezing busybody, had found fellowship with this scraggly, bony little freak. Together they enjoyed many a happy day, scrambling up rocks, stealing pies off windowsills, snobbily judging people's gardens, and, of course, drinking up some hog drink.
Mm-hmm.
Is it piss?
I wouldn't dare betray Hog's friendship by telling you what his secret recipe was. He worked too damn hard cultivating it to do that. Suffice it to say, it was spicy, murky, mysteriously effervescent, and altogether too much for you. Anyway, on this day, Scrump and Hoggy were lying in a sunbeam, lazily considering an apple. I reckon there's a worm in there, mused Scrumpo thoughtfully. Hog snorted with condescending disagreement. Are you kidding me? It's got that look, all bulgy with worms. I guarantee there's a worm in there, Scrump said. After a few hours of this, Hog sighed, a deep, rumbling, overly dramatic sigh. Little Scrumpo turned to him in a put-out sort of way to throw him a look that said, "Oh my God, you don't know everything, and I have every reason to believe that apple is bursting with worms." But the look was barely able to shoot out of Scrumpo's eyeballs when the reason for Hog's sigh became clear. Hog's attention was no longer on the apple, and he had his judging face on. He had caught sight of Old Lady Mouse Matron's ensemble for the day. Ooh, she was wearing those old grape stompers short pants with a giant stain on the back of one of the legs that looked like she was doing some crafts with her grandkids and sat on a paint palette. On top of that, she always wore her gray hair, lazily thrown up in a lopsided coil atop her head. Ugh. Not to mention her terrible, thick, smudgy, round glasses. Old Lady Mouse Matron was always proved to be a fun distraction. She was so easy to rile up, it was almost sad. You thinking what I'm thinking, Hoggy? Hog looked back at Lil Scrumpo, considering for a moment. What would be more fun? This chance is too good to pass up. You just got to get into some hijinks with Old Lady Mouse Matron. Turn to page 2. Nah, you're more interested in finding out who's right about the whole apple worm situation. Turn to page 3.
This is hard.
Ooh.
So, I mean, we did spend hours discussing this apple worm situation.
Oh, but I want to make fun of her clothes.
I won't be able to get my mind off that worm.
All right,
So-
these boys can't stop thinking about worms.
They love worms.
Yeah.
Our two heroes let it pass. They didn't have the strength to shoulder such a heavy burden. I mean, they would have had to concoct a whole plan, execute it, and then escape. And for what? This old lady was never going to get stylish. For all they knew, she could have been super stylish once and went through some sort of transcendental experience where she stopped caring about all that so she could put her focus on some greater purpose or some shit. Nah, Hog had a hell of a sense of style, but the two of them were covered in mud most of the time. They just weren't going to seem like authorities on the matter either way. But what they were authorities on was apple worms. Or at least they would be very soon. Screw that, Hoggy. I'm not going to let you keep going through life in ignorance. I'm sure she'll be just as ridiculous tomorrow. Let's crack this baby open and settle this. Lil Scrumpo scrabbled up the tree, ignored all the other easy-to-grab apples, and made a flying leap to snag the one they'd been fighting about all morning. Withdrawing the trusty, sharp rock kept in special belt pouch, Scrumpo set about carefully cutting the apple in twain. It was delicate work, surgical. Scrumpo's concentration was extreme. Sweating bullets, brows knitted together as if the procedure was life and death, Scrumpo worked. Little Scrumpo cut. And cut. For a long time. Maybe forever. And ever. And ever. Still cutting. So much cutting.
Stretch.
Okay, anyway, the apple was split. Little Scrump was about to open it up when Hog grunted. What? Scrumpo asked. Hog just sat there, doing that wheezing thing, making calm eye contact with little Scrumpo. You're so right, Hog. What am I doing? Just proving a point? Forget it. Our friendship is more important than some stupid apple worm.
Are you kidding me?
And with that, Scrump put the apple down, climbed on Hog's back, and they rode off toward their afternoon time snuggly hammock nap together as best friends. The end.
Woo!
Oh my god.
But wait,
Oh,
can you let it go? Do you have to know if there's an apple worm? For the love of God, tell me, turn to page 6. Heck no, they're right. I don't want to know who is wrong. Ending achieved.
For the love of God, tell me.
I don't know about the
God.
worm. I caught worm fever.
I got worms bad.
The apple lay on the ground where Scrumpo left it. It seemed to be emitting a faint orange glow from within the crack. A sudden dramatic gust of wind howled, and the apple pieces fell apart. Inside the apple, there were 3 unusual seeds. They were emitting the orange glow, which was fading and rebounding slightly as if the seeds had a heartbeat. You know, like the unsettling way that little light on a closed Apple laptop looks like it's breathing. The camera does a triple take, then zooms in closer on the seeds. Within each seed, there are tiny, evil-looking little worms. Stranger still, they each appeared to have a mane of gray hair that was whipping around in a strong gale inside the seed, and jagged, sharp teeth. Huh. Wonder what that's about. The end.
All right,
But now,
we've got worms.
I knew
All
it.
right, let's go ahead and see what happens if we decide all of a sudden, for some stupid reason, that we don't care about the worms.
Yeah.
that's just the end. You just
Oh, okay.
leave it there.
Oh, okay. Then I guess let's go make fun of this woman for being poor.
Okay. They couldn't just let her look like that in public without consequence. It would be irresponsible. How would she learn? Lil Scrumpo grinned and snuck through the trees behind her. Hog flanked her, pinching in toward her front. The plan was a pantsing. The offensive pants had to go. Like, come on. But she was so old. God, she was old. She couldn't just walk around like that, right? No, they had to go. They had to go. Oh, good morning, Hoggy. What a good boy you are. Do you want your boysenberry treat today? Old Lady Mouse Matron chattered with affection. What a pretty boy. Such kind eyes. Little Scrumpo crept behind Old Lady Mouse Matron. The pants were within reach. Scrump's fingers itched to grasp that terrible stretched-out elastic waist. Up close, Scrump could really see that paint splotch. It was just awful. So sad. Oh, and she was all stooped over with age. Her little spidery lower legs peeking out of the bottom of her grape smashers were really getting to little Scrumpo. She was just so frail. Can you still do it? Can you go through with the plan? Yep! Turn to page 4. Or, thinking of doing it now just fills you with despair. Abort!
Let's do it.
Pants her.
She deserves it.
Okay. They've gotta go! Ah! Scrumpo screamed and yanked, but the pants didn't budge. Old Lady Mouse Matron whipped around too quickly and snatched up Scrumpo's hands. Her bony fingers were clenching hard on Scrumpy with unbelievable strength. When little Scrumpo regained composure, some details about Old Lady Mouse Matron started to register. Strange things. When she whipped around, only her top half made the journey. Moving up to her hands, they had turned black, fading up to skin color at about mid-forearm, as if she had dipped her hands into soot. Her teeth were jagged and sharp, chattering in rage. Her eyes were a burning, orangey red, much like the sun. Or the fires of hell, I don't know. And finally, her awful gray hair was standing on end and whipping around in a gale Scrumpo could not feel. Did you get the call back to the seats?
Mhm.
Scrump was frozen in terror. I knew you could not resist, you horrible child. You're the worst, and you're a bad influence on my sweet Hoggy boy. And with that, her eyes glowed even brighter. The magnification on her thick glasses concentrated the light into beams that shot directly into Scrumpo's eyeballs.
Oh my god.
She stared into Scrumpo's face, or what used to be Scrumpo's face. The eyes were scorched black, the mouth was slack and open, and there was no longer anyone home.
Ugh.
Hog grunted sharply. Old Lady Mouse Matron laughed lightly. Yes, I know. I'm just tired of getting pantsed. Can't you keep our friend here out of trouble? And why is it always pantsing? I'm not buying new pants just to paint. They'll get paint on them anyway. I swear, this is the last time. Next time I won't hold back, and all the hog drink in the world couldn't reverse it. I mean it! Old Lady Mouse Matron gently placed Scrumpy's husk atop Hog's back, and he began to walk toward his nest, and more importantly, his supply of hog drink. When Scrumpo's recovered, don't forget to come by for your boysenberry treat, called Old Lady Mouse Matron. The end.
I don't know boysenberry treat.
Wow. She's terrifying.
Yes.
I mean, she's tired of getting pants.
I don't know what's going on in those seeds, etc.
It's Mouse Matron magic.
Oh,
It was
I
wrong.
guess-
the
to
triple
fancy.
M.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
what I think is that she's trying to lure Scrumpo because she wants his youth or something.
Hmm.
Okay, anyway, so there's one more choice. It's too sad. Good afternoon, Lady Mouse Matron. Did you know you have some paint on your pants? Would you like some help getting home? Why, thank you, young one, said Old Lady Mouse Matron. Then she said, Damn. She slowly turned, and as she did, her body started to melt and bubble, morphing before their eyes. Her gray hair retracted back toward her scalp and turned a lovely reddish brown. Her body contorted, and she lowered onto all fours. Her face elongated forward, nose first. When the transformation was complete, Old Lady Mouse Matron was no longer an old lady at all, but a shapely young hog. She was slightly smaller than Hog, but somehow more imposing. Maybe it was the lack of mud. Maybe it was the orange, glowy eyes. Who's to say? A soothing, albeit exasperated female voice echoed from within Scrumpo and Hog's heads. Okay, brother, you win. I didn't think it was possible to tame this horrible child's urges for malicious trickery. Took you long enough. I'm so glad I don't have to put on those stupid pants. Let's say we all go back to mine for boysenberry treat.
Yeah.
Completely accepting it, not questioning it at all, the tree tromped happily toward Hogwitch's cabin and spent a very pleasant afternoon talking about worms, scrabbling up rocks, and the proper way to establish an impressive and beautiful garden. The end.
Wow.
All right.
That's all.
Hogwitch, eh?
Yeah, her name's Hogwitch.
Just an old classic
Very nice.
Hogwitch ending. So beautiful.
Is there a way to find out what's in hog drink?
You can never know.
Mm.
And
Oh.
God, I hope you never need it. Just don't be mean to old people and you won't get your soul sucked out and have to replenish it with hog drink.
Hmm.
All right.
I guess
I'll
that's
try.
a lesson for us all. Yeah.
Lots of good lessons today so far.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope you have some good lessons for us as well, Paul.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Does your story involve a farm animal or like farm life at all?
An idyllic Robin Hood type lifestyle.
No. This
I
is
am very excited.
temper those
I
feelings.
couldn't be more excited.
I'm the most excited.
My heart
So-
is gonna burst.
So my story.
I need some of
I'm-
your vein pills.
Oh, do you want to make
I'm-
an
pressure
announcement?
I'm so excited that I might have to leave the room before the story
Oh,
ends.
Oh, all right. So my story is called My Neighbor the Wizard.
Totoro, except wizard.
Is he into birds?
Does he like umbrellas?
I guess we'll have to find out.
Does he understand umbrellas going into the story?
I guess we'll have to find out.
Answer me this, though.
Does he have a hog?
How many hogs does he have?
Not a motorcycle, but a living
Never
hog.
a motorcycle.
I just really feel like there's only one way to find out.
All right, let's find out.
Finally finding a moment to relax, you sit back in the ugly old recliner you inherited because you were too nice to tell your mom you didn't really want the chair. Pulling out your phone, you start perusing local news stories to pass the time. A young couple got in a wreck just outside the city, strange beasts have been sighted near the campgrounds on the other side of town, and the nearby school just hired a new principal. Setting your phone aside, you let out a long sigh and stare at the yellow wallpaper adorning the opposite wall.
No. That story haunts me.
She's fine.
Knock, knock. The banging against the door interrupts your deep dive into what was beginning to feel like an existential crisis. Thankful to have anything else occupy your thoughts. You rush to the door, tripping over your own feet and banging your shoulder against the door's frame.
Who is it? Oh my God, please don't leave.
As you wince from what might be a light injury, you swing the door open to find a parcel resting against it. That's odd. You don't remember ordering anything, and it's not anywhere near a holiday or birthday. You pick up the package and note the branding on the side. You feel a little flush in your cheeks as the words register in your mind. Magic wand, when a helping hand just won't do. Oh no. Did you drunkenly order another sex toy? The mailman saw it too. Why would a company brazenly put that kind of advertising right on the side in big, bold letters? Before you can start thinking about how expensive it might be to move to a different neighborhood, your eyes glance over the shipping label. Edward Behar. Your neighbor? A feeling of smug disgust cascades down your spine as the realization dawns on you. Your neighbor's sex toy just got sent to you by accident. What should you do? You don't relish the idea of keeping a package meant for someone else, but the idea of having to deliver this particular parcel to your neighbor is almost too much to bear. If you decide to take the package over to your neighbor, turn to page 2. If you decide to just keep the package and decide what to do with it later, turn to page 4.
I want that confrontation.
Yeah. Plus, if you take the package over, they're grateful to you, but then they'll realize what's in the package if it's a sex toy, and they'll be embarrassed. So if there's anything that you do that they don't like, they can't say shit forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all about having the upper hand and being nasty.
Yeah, it's about neighbor relations.
It's a very political relationship.
Yeah, that's how you have to think about it.
Okay.
I guess return the package. Be a good neighbor.
Yeah. All right. Edward Behar is an odd neighbor compared to most of the ones you've had. He's a bit older with a long, unkempt beard and often wears an ornate silk evening robe in a deep crimson, even if he's just going out for the night. You put on an old baseball cap and find a jacket large enough to conceal the box before heading over to your neighbor's house. Knocking on the door, you feel your heart pumping in anticipation of the exchange that's about to take place while keeping a death grip on the package. A few moments later, you hear a few clicks and pops as several latches and locks are undone. The door swings inward, and from behind it steps Edward, wearing his robe as usual. "Oh, hello! To what do I owe the pleasure?" he says calmly. You can see a walking stick in his left hand, which he is leaning upon as he talks. Hello, Mr. Behar. I just wanted to... Please, Mr. Behar is too formal of a title. Just call me Sir Edward Behar, Sage of the Streets. He pauses for a moment, an expectant grin on his face. Just as you get the sir out, he begins to laugh, summoning blood to your face.
Aww.
Now, Ed will do just nicely. Come in. You're clearly suffering from the heat. Why you would wear a jacket in the summer is beyond me. In any case, I was just entertaining a friend. Edward corrects himself. Well, a colleague in any case. Unsure what else to do, you step inside and are guided to the living room. The walls are covered in bookshelves featuring a massive collection unlike any you have ever seen. In the middle of the room sits a small coffee table and plush seats at each corner. In one of them, an equally youth-challenged gentleman sits. Although his hair is much darker than Edward's, the lines along his face give away his age to be much closer to Edward's than you might initially expect. Strangely, he's also wearing a silk evening robe, although his is a deep green. This is James Kiltner, Edward says while guiding you to a chair. Kiltner gives you a solemn nod. as Edward takes his own seat, you feel an uncomfortable air in the room, as if the two had recently been arguing. In fact, the very air between them felt stifled and humid. "Now what brings you by?" Edward says while keeping his gaze towards Kiltner. "The package. You had nearly forgotten. And now you have to reveal the embarrassment in front of a complete stranger. How could this get worse?" You unveil the box from your heavy coat, deciding there's nothing you could possibly say to make this better, so instead you opt to say nothing as you pass it to Edward with an unsteady hand while trying not to make direct eye contact. Edward pulls the box into his lap, seemingly unfazed by the giant lettering on the side, and tears into it with his long fingernails.
Ew.
Within seconds, he's opened the box. "Maybe I should go?" You try to offer to save yourself the embarrassment of whatever's about to happen when two old men get a magic wand sex toy. "Nonsense," Edward bellows, sounding much more youthful than before. You feel the hairs on the back of your neck stand as he plunges his hands into the box, producing a small wooden rod with a curved handle and various characters along the side in a language you do not recognize.
Hot.
You realize that Kiltner is staring at the wand with an eager look on his face. Your stomach churns. Edward also produces an old book from the packaging and tosses it aside. "Not like we'll need that," he winks to Kiltner, who gets up and leads Edward into another room. You are left alone for the time being and are a bit unsure what to do. After a few moments, you decide to pick up the book from the ground and try to peruse its contents. Unfortunately, you find that most of it is written in another language. Even more unfortunately, you start to hear gentle moaning from the other room.
Oh, no.
Concentrating on the book even harder, you begin mouthing some of the words on the page in order to try to distract yourself. The room grows darker as you read. Gusts of wind rattle the shutters outside, and you start to hear a cry from the other room when suddenly you're interrupted by Edward. "Child, what are you doing?" Looking up, you see Edward. That is, you see all of Edward, as he's completely nude.
Oh my god!
"How dare you try to ruin our fun? Get out!" Edward yells. Mortified, you quickly show yourself out and rush to your own home, vowing to never open anyone else's mail ever again.
Oh my god.
The end.
Holy shit! That is amazing.
Woof.
So the only choice is to just keep the package?
Well, that's the only other choice here you guys haven't done
Okay.
so far.
Are you just accidentally reading your erotic journals?
Look, I had a deadline, right? And I had to get this story out. Okay. In this one, we're just going to keep the package. Okay.
Package indeed. All right.
No reward is worth taking something that embarrassing to anyone. You decide it's for the best and set the package down. Returning to your day, you make some food, watch reruns of a few shows you've already seen before, and find yourself back in the ugly chair staring at the yellow wallpaper within an hour or two. You glance over to the front door and check the lettering on the box. One side looks crumpled. And there's a...
Sorry for all the dog scrambling. Cricket's just going
They're
up and
just
down
making
the pet stairs with abandon.
One side looks crumpled, and there's a tear in the label. Stepping over, you pick up the package and start to pick at the label. Before you realize what you've done, you've already removed the label and now have an unmarked package in your lap. "What harm could it really do?" you say aloud.
No harm at all.
You step to the windows, drawing the curtains and making sure none of the neighborhood kids are outside. With the care and efficacy of an explosive ordnance disposal technician, you manage to open the box. Within it, you find two items. The first, a carefully wrapped wooden rod with a carved handle and several characters etched into the side in a language you do not recognize. The other item is a book. Well, a tome may be more accurate since the book seems ancient. Along the spine, you are barely able to make out the lettering, but it reads, "Spells for the Curious."
Is that curious?
Suddenly, a deep wave of guilt washes over you. Whatever this is, clearly, it was not meant for you. Maybe you could still put the label back together? Isn't opening someone else's mail a federal crime? But maybe this is something more than a weird gag gift. Should you try to read the book and see what secrets it holds? Or are you willing to leave it a mystery? If you decide to leave the book closed, turn to page 5. Otherwise, turn to page 6.
I want to get in there.
Yeah, read it.
I'm overruled either way.
Yeah. You've already opened the package. What's the harm in opening the book, too? The spine of the book creaks as you open the cover. On the inside, the first few pages are handwritten in the same lettering covering the wooden wand. Unable to make anything of it, you flip through the book and find a section that at least has English lettering. There are crude drawings near each line, but most of them don't seem to clearly dictate any instructions. Then, in the margin, you find 2 lines with notes from some previous owner. The first one reads, "Friendship," and has a small drawing of a dog next to it. The second one reads, "Minimalist," and has a detailed picture of a little man next to it. Which one should you read first? The one with "Friendship" written beside it, or the one with "Minimalist"?
Friendship.
Friendship.
I want a dog friend.
Yeah.
Picking up the wooden wand, you hold the book in the other hand and begin reading the line next to "Friendship." "Lorem ipsum dolor sit amet, consectur adipsizing elite."
You're an idiot.
Upon finishing the line, you feel a little silly. This is obviously a gag gift. You set the book down, You set the book and wand down before collapsing onto the ugly chair. However, the chair lets out a groan and rolls back, causing you to slide off onto the floor. Shocked, you scuttle away and turn to see where once sat the chair from your mother now sits a mostly dog-shaped creature with the same off-putting floral pattern from the chair. It runs up to you, knocking over a lamp and shoving aside the coffee table along the way.
Oh.
You hold your hands out in front of you, preparing for the worst. When nothing happens, you slowly lower your arms to find the dog-like creature sitting and wagging what used to be part of the fringe along the chaise. A friendship awaiting. The end.
I love friends!
So yeah, you guys have the choice of leaving the book alone or trying the other spell.
Other spell.
All right.
Minimalist.
Yes, that was it.
Get out of here. Stuff.
The calming idea of focusing on less grabs your curiosity, so you decide to read the spell line next to the handwritten note, "Minimalist." Taking the wand in hand, you read the line aloud, trying your best to enunciate properly. Et enim ad minim veniam quis nostruct exercitation. As soon as you finish the incantation, you feel a rush run through you like you've just stood up too quickly. Feeling an immense weight in your hands, you drop the book and the wand. Moments later, your dizziness gets the upper hand and you pass out. Upon waking up, you find you've been transported somewhere else. The floor is a large tan cloth that seems to spread into the distance. You can't even tell how far away the walls of the room are, and the only immediate relief in the horizon is a dark bump. You walk towards it, eventually finding an older man wearing strange clothes and lying on his back. He appears to have been dead for some time, disfigured and flattened. Next to him, you're horrified to recognize the enlarged letters spelling out the word "Minimalist." The end.
So you're just small? Wow. Yeah, that's not what I expected. All right, so I guess we should leave it alone.
I
I
like
thought we were
the
going to
friendship
redecorate.
ending more.
Let's say the friendship's the real ending.
Yeah.
We'll at least find out what happens with the other one first.
I mean, I do want to know what the fuck they were doing in the other room, dude. Like, it couldn't be just jamming. Anyway.
I thought the man that he saw as in the minimalist ending was going to be Edward naked again. So
Yeah.
Okay, so in this case, we're not going to open the book. It's too much to consider even opening the book. You think back to the time you found your mom's diary she kept during her pregnancy with you. Between the long passages describing your conception, the incredibly detailed daily sketches of her own genitalia, and the final passage describing her disappointment in wrecking her body over you, were more than enough to help convince you that some books are best left in the lockbox under the pile of sheets in the back of the closet.
I mean, if you found that as a kid, you would for sure try to get in there.
Yeah.
Checking the time, you realize that your prying has made you late for work. You put on some mostly clean clothes and grab the package before heading out the door. Luckily, no one at work notices you slip in a few minutes late. Apparently, there was a new hire as well, at least judging by the tattered bits of cloth and plastic keyboard in the parking lot.
Nice.
You managed to make it through most of your workday under the radar, enjoying the time you were paid to do something mundane rather than volunteering the hours at home. However, your perfectly average day is interrupted once you return from having lunch behind the building. You have an email notification from Human Resources. You decide it's probably best just to get whatever their meeting is regarding over with, so you head to their office straight away. Within 10 minutes, you are promptly escorted to your car. Stunned, you stare at the contents of your desk and the box you brought in today. The very box which got you fired. As it turns out, no one found any humor in bringing a box advertising sex toys to work. The end.
You're just not going to tell us what they were doing in the other room?
I leave that as an exercise for the reader.
Oh, wow.
Well, he deserves to be fired.
Yeah.
And I gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
All right.
Happy anniversary,
Okay.
y'all.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
joining
Steven.
us.
Too exciting for him. He has to go in the other room and deal with his own magic wand. Hi, Steven.
Yeah.
All good stories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I am so happy that you put in something for us, which is a dog friend.
Yeah.
Always happy whenever there's an animal friend involved,
Mhm.
as you know from both of our stories.
All right, so to cap our anniversary, we actually have a review
All right.
that I'd like to share with you
I'm
guys.
so excited.
And this,
It's bad, isn't it?
well, this comes from 041744,
Oh, 04, huh?
who says, "Fun hosts and unique stories.
That's us.
A fun choose your own adventure podcast. The hosts are fun and add a lot to the ridiculous stories they read. The hosts joke a lot at the story, but still read it at a good rate. I think one of its main strengths is the stories the hosts write themselves.
Yeah.
The stories are unique, starting out pretty normal, but then veering off into weird fantasy/sci-fi, talking animals, magic transformations, and uncomfortable deaths.
Oh, God damn it.
The story on episode 38, Choices, I really enjoyed, having a pretty heavy and melancholy feel that stuck with me.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work."
I want to ruin
Hey,
everyone's
that's
day.
yours. Nice. Thank you, 041744. We love you.
Yeah.
Is that it?
You're not just a number to us.
Yay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's true.
Everybody leave us iTunes reviews because it makes us feel so
Yeah.
excited. Paul has to take his excitement pills.
Do it, or we'll
Yes.
give ourselves Indian burns, or whatever the PC term is.
We just get in a circle and
Yeah.
give each other Indian beans.
Megan's got to get some Hollywood hobo to do it for
Yeah,
her.
no
Yeah.
problem.
So thank you guys for putting up with us for a full year.
Yeah.
And hope you stick around for more.
Yeah.
If you,
Tell your friends.
yeah.
Yeah, tell 'em.
Tell them, hey, you want a worse... Wait. There are worse ways to spend an hour.
Yeah.
That was our other iTunes
Right.
review.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to email us your general thoughts or accolades, you can email us at strangepathspodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can tweet all your beautiful anniversary praise at us at Strange Paths Pod on Twitter.
Or you can write me and me alone your favorite sensual number combinations at bozosglowglobes@gmail.com. And
You're
about...
going to get a lot of 6s and a lot of 9s.
Yeah. And you can write to me about how irritated you are with Cricket's presence and scratching sounds and such.
He's excited.
He loves
It's a fun
anniversaries. So...
We'll see you guys next time.
way. Yeah, bye.
Bye.